Should have said was, I'll put that in, so that's, so that 3 and 4 to 10.
You know, I could ask you today. During this of the season, we've done it for years and never asked permission. The parking places in front of my store, me and the police set up things there for Toys for Tots.
These people want Christmas off?
Parking places. I don't.
Come on.
Back in my day.
They put a
Good
police,
question.
they put a police car out there with the red lights and stuff by them.
Well, they're getting my birthday off.
We do it every year for
You
Toys
gotta
for
have-
Tots
you guys get your
race.
birthday off for the county?
Money,
You
we,
get your birthday off for the county?
our store goes in with the police station. We give away about
So,
16,
January 1st. No.
$1,600 worth of toys every year. And then people drive by and just drop them off for the Toys for Tots. They don't
Close
have to
enough to
get out.
Christmas, it's just like, no.
I forgot about that. I should have said something.
I would hate that.
Yeah, like you said, you've been doing it.
Yeah, we've been
All this
doing it for
time.
years, never even thought about it, you know?
Well, but look at the money they save on that.
And I guess I probably should be coming to the booth and asking. It wasn't city council before, so I never thought about it, but now being, I probably should.
It's a spreadsheet. I thought.
You ready?
Oh,
I'm going to call the Tiffin Common Council meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the minutes from the last meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the October 14th, 2024 minutes as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Any amendments to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, and this is the second meeting of the month. We'll start with Board of Works and Safety.
We met today. The first thing we did was approve a street closure for Tis the Season, which happens first Friday of every December. The only difference is this year we actually closed part of Jefferson. And we're going to put the barricades up at Sweetland and 19 to help divert any traffic, semi-traffic that may be coming into town. We got an update from the fire department. We're starting a new hire process. We have some potential people, firefighters leaving. They may be in a lateral process where they handle the county agency, so we're trying to get ahead of that. Police department, it's pretty much the usual. 176 traffic stops in September, which is the third highest for the year. Both had indicated that they've been doing a lot more community events. And then Police Chief Stout asked that Tim and I look at the golf cart ordinance and work on defining what a golf cart is and how we want to handle that. And then the other thing is Chief Bittner brought a proposal for new cameras and asked that we maybe start looking into spending some of the GO bond money that we've had on rehabilitating the building, but we still kind of have to decide if we're going to rehabilitate it or rehab it or tear it down and build a new one. So other than that, I think that was the bulk of the meeting. Oh, both fire chief and police chief got the okay, and Mayor Schmicker was good with us, Tim and I, working on a uniform layout, starting with the fire and police, so we can actually get that worked out. The system we do today is not beneficial for the fire, police department, or anybody really. They get taxed on the money we give them. The appropriate way would be a uniform layout with a claim sheet, and everyone knows what's part of the uniform, so they can't claim something not on the uniform, and then we would budget accordingly. So overall, it's a pretty productive meeting.
Very good. Thank you. Golf Advisory Committee?
Golf Advisory did not meet, but I do know interviews are going on for the new director of golf, so golf course is in good shape. Thank you.
Very good. Solid Waste District?
We did meet last week, pretty standard, most things that we went over. We're looking into some things for next year's budget, try to streamline it a little bit, looking at paints and different things on, trying to get the budget back in line on it, and that's about it.
Very good. Street, alley, and sidewalk?
Street, alley, and sidewalk did meet. The main two topics of the meeting, sidewalks for next year, which we discuss every meeting, but then trail, which is done, 99% done. Obviously, if people go out and look, let's see, the fencing all went up either this morning or I slept, or yesterday, one or the other, but all the fencing is up. And then if no one noticed, Jefferson Street's being worked on. If nobody noticed that.
Very good. Planning Commission?
Well, we had a pretty good meeting. We went over and did a favorable recommendation for the solar ordinance for the council to look at. Also went through the, if I could think of what it was called, I'd tell you. The area plan. So that looked good. So we still have work to do with them, but other than that, it was a pretty good meeting. Wasn't too awful long.
Very good. Utility Board?
Utility Board met last Monday in these chambers. Jim said everything was going well. The wastewater project is going very well, and the concrete is poured, the foundation is finished for the water tower, and steel should be coming soon.
Very good. Thank you. Next is Youth Council. I will update the council that part of their projects, really the Youth Council is broken up into two sections. The first is more curriculum-based, teaching them what leadership qualities, practices are, helping them even to identify what their own leadership style is. And then part of the first semester is identifying a project they'll then work on in the second semester of the school season. And so there's going to be a pitch night here in the month of November. So we should hear those of us on the panel some exciting ideas that they want to pursue for the spring semester. So we'll have a better report out on what those are, but nonetheless working toward that goal. Moving on to the agenda, the item under new business is to approve the 2025 holiday schedule. You have that schedule proposal in your packet.
The same as last year, I believe,
That is correct.
or this year, I should say.
I make a motion that we accept the holiday schedule for next year.
Who seconded that? We have a motion and a second to approve the proposed 2025 holiday schedule. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. No items in our old business. Mayor's report. We've already talked about much of that through conversation. There's been interviews for the municipal services position. We are in the next day or so completing the interviews for the director of golf position. Paving, as has been mentioned already, has, I think as today, has concluded for Jefferson Street. They'll do the pool parking lot, I believe, in this asphalt season as well, and then start West Street likely in early spring next year. And that will conclude updates as far as projects for the city at the moment. I think we'll be closing out or have closed out 2023's community crossings, which has been completed, but we're now getting the paperwork and those payments turned around. Moving on to resolutions and ordinances, you have resolution 2024-33. This is an annual resolution that's proposed to the council. It's a transfer from the general fund to the rainy day fund for $100,000.
What's that moving for? Is it just?
The rainy day fund, you don't receive any revenue. So the only way to get revenue into the rainy day fund is moving money from your general fund. And it was 15, you can do 15% of your budget. And normally we just do about 100,000 to move over there.
Did we do 100,000 last year?
I think we did it earlier in the year, but I would have to look. It looks like, I think we've done it for the last 2 or 3 years. We've put money in there.
And just for the sake of the new people, can you just give a quick explanation of the rainy day fund?
Basically, it can be used for any type of expenses that the council, feels necessary. But like I said, that you do not gain any revenue unless you move money from your general fund over to it.
I moved to approve resolution 2024-23.
Second.
Motion and second to approve resolution 2024-33. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Now moving on to claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve 4 payment claims 177759 through 177838 in the amount of $532,105.97.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve claims. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Was that you, Nathan?
No, I didn't abstain.
Okay.
I'm not.
Motion carries. We're now to petitions, comments, and memorials.
Did want to add, totally forgot, Board of Works, we actually officially lowered the age for firefighter applicants to 18. So any parents or grandparents who have a young man or woman interested in maybe becoming a firefighter, please apply.
Also, just wanted to let everybody know that I think it looks awesome, the sight line through town without the stoplight sticking up there in the air. It was a much needed improvement.
Is the, following up on the county's courthouse roof project, is that completed now?
Completed.
Good. It worked pretty quick.
Smooth. They were awesome. They did come and did the final inspection today, so everything looked awesome. There's a few chips in the slate, which is natural. We can't fix the whole thing at one time, so.
Mhm.
But they did an awesome job.
Good deal.
It's kind of fun watching that guy go up there all the way to the
No, it-
top, tip top.
No,
Was that you?
Nope.
Oh,
absolutely not.
I don't even like watching.
how high is that?
Long ways.
It is a long ways up
Too
there,
far.
I don't know, but standing at the bottom of that thing, taking pictures up was enough to make me oozy. Yeah. It was great.
Got a few questions here from Brian Campbell, representing Tiffin Baseball Board. So want to follow up with a couple questions from last, 2 weeks ago's meeting, I guess, about the bond and the funding that I guess put into motion on getting funding for the project.
Mhm.
It was a little bit unclear as whether that $2.6 million proposal or bond estimate, was that for property and facilities or just property acquisition? Saw some different things that kind of led. It was more focused primarily at the property acquisition, which obviously makes a big difference whether you're buying 5 acres or
Correct.
50.
Correct.
50.
So the way that was written was actually inclusive of both. So that if the property acquisition was 0, we still had the money to use on the facility, but if the property or vice versa, basically. So it provided flexibility in the approach to a project moving forward.
Okay. And is the project scope just baseball fields at this current time, or is it wider than that to encompass?
No, the initial scope is focused on baseball. Yes.
And so is that bond now, is that projected to cover the total expense, or will there still be grants to apply for and other efforts to finish that up?
We're going to try
I have no
to.
idea what the real scope is.
Correct.
I think cost 1.7 to put the 3 fields back where we already had
Mhm.
property and infrastructure and parking and all those things.
Right.
Buying property and putting in all the stuff that
Yeah.
was already there is obviously going to add a significant price tag.
Yeah, correct.
cost factor.
Well, what
Three fields we were planning.
want to be careful of is scoping a project that's reliant on monies that we don't have confirmed. So to that end, what we're trying not to do is build a project that requires a land, water, and conservation grant, though we're hopeful to pursue that next year. And other grant opportunities that I know the committee has looked at in last year, maybe even earlier this year. So trying to make it as inclusive as possible in that funding that we're securing. Hopefully tomorrow is one of the last steps to do so.
And is that getting the park board in the position to apply?
So it's my hope to have that on the agenda for today, but it'll be on your agenda for next time. So we'll have that in place for then, we'll have a draft park master plan submitted by November 15th, which then allows us to keep on pace to become qualified for that.
And so part of the rest of our board members down at Atlanta trying to get those fields secured. But a couple of questions that came up from there was one, paying a lease. Last year they leased it to us with no charge other than a whole lot of volunteer hours to do a lot of painting, repairs and things. So if we can get that secured, they're talking about a monetary lease that don't have any details yet. Trying to get it still for free and address some of the other issues or concerns they had. But ultimately, if they end up coming back and asking for dollars, we're going to come back to this group to see if there'd be some help to help cover that additional expenses.
Any chance to resolve parking?
Yes, so I had a conversation with Brad Pearson, the gentleman who owns the field to the north of it. And I sent him kind of a draft plan that I laid out and created to more than double our parking spaces. So he was,
Nice guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
very, very, very helpful on that. And
Good.
so got to figure out the details yet, but he doesn't sound like that's going to be a problem.
Good.
So that was obviously one of the big concerns that Atlanta had as well. So
It's great.
we should have that in a much better position for next season. So
Good work.
I guess I'll have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
Was that for 3 fields, again, that you're starting with for the baseball project?
That's, what the original project had included.
Okay. All right. So nothing new on the golf director yet? Okay.
Not at this time, no.
I heard by rumor that the fence had not been moved by the basketball courts, that there was some kind of interference with the trail.
The concern has not been brought to my attention, so
The trail there is finished and the fence is up, so I'm not sure what you're,
Well, someone mentioned to me today that the fence was not put in correctly.
which
So,
fence?
At the corner of the base,
The wooden fence that they just installed today?
well, I didn't go over there today. The fence for the basketball field.
So the chain link
courts.
fence. I'm trying to just figure out which fence you're talking about. It's a
The
chain link?
fence- The fence around the basketball.
Okay, the
courts.
chain link fence.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I will check with a couple of people and see what's going on.
I didn't know we were
I
changing.
don't know that we moved in that. They
There
made
was a
the,
question that it was supposed to be moved. I'm just saying something.
okay. I just-
Okay. I will call them and see exactly what they're talking about. I didn't drive by. I mean, I've been in and out of town, so I didn't really drive by. I just saw the guys out there working. That's it. I wanted to I have one question about rainy day fund. Is there a cap on how much we can have in rainy day fund?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that there's a cap on how much you can put in there yearly.
Yearly? Do you know what our rainy day fund is at now? Is it, because it does roll over, correct?
Yes, it rolls over it stays in the rainy day fund.
Right.
I don't have that.
Not off the top of my head.
yeah,
Okay. All right. If you can just tell us the next time. I just was.
We can put up to 15% of our budget. Our budget's roughly 7 million. I can guarantee you there's not even 15% in the aggregate in our rainy day fund, which is what we could put in 1 year.
I'm gonna say 300,000,
Yeah,
but
so
that's.
I think
we
that
could
is
put in
true.
1 million, 1.5 a year, and we don't do that, so.
And next year, it's back to 10% of your budget, so.
And last thing I want to bring up is, I really appreciate the guys from the planning and zoning office and the street department coming by and looking at properties. I'm not gonna say which properties, but they're close to me. And, I've talked to the planning and zoning department in the past about them but I saw them out there again, looking at their properties, and I really appreciate that
Good.
because I know there are things going on in other parts of the city that probably look dumpish, I'll put it that way. But it's not so fun to go to the next block where you live and it's looking dumpier than it did before I went on vacation. I have one last question though. Back at the north end of the city where they took down the metal structure and there's a recycling
Mhm.
people there or something.
Yep,
Is anything
dumpster.
going to happen with that properties?
I don't know that answer. I did reach out to them earlier in the year to gain an assessment of what the plans were. But being privately owned, I know that the plans were to demo the facility and likely to scrap any materials on site, but I don't know anything further than that.
He has hauled an awful lot of way over the last year. I mean, after he
Amen.
tore
Is
that
that
down,
diesel
I
man?
mean,
Yeah,
it's, I don't know where he took it all, but
I know, yeah. So is there any chance that some of that is contaminated back there?
No, I think the reports back from IDEM, that's been site monitored for a very long time. There is some contamination that last I talked with IDEM back in 2019, we couldn't build a facility that trapped air, but it could be used for park safely or such. So that's the last I heard. But even then, things could have changed since that time on the requirements.
I told you a lie. I have one more question. I'm sorry. And what, Needlers has been purchased by another company?
that's what we hear.
I heard
And
that,
is
yeah.
Needlers going to stay in business here? I've been really.
That would be up to
distracted,
Needlers.
I'll use that word,
That would be up to Needlers whether they stay here or not. I mean,
because I've been in and out of town. There was about 2.5 weeks I've gone for
Yeah.
all 2.5 weeks. And then in and out of town after that. And when you walk in, you find freezers that are completely empty. Freezers that have been pulled out because they don't work and they said they were gonna replace them.
They were replaced.
they did today.
They did today? Okay, that's one step. But it's really disheartening, and I've told them, I've sent them emails, very honest, very nice, didn't use any bad words. I thought in the past, this Needlers was the first one they purchased. This Marsh, rather, was the first one they purchased.
They purchased them in a group deal.
Yeah, it was a big
I was-
deal.
I was the DDO when that happened, and the worry was when Marsh closed, we would be a food desert.
Right.
And surprisingly, we had several bidders for the Tipton Needlers and ended up being part of a group package
Mhm.
split. So they split the Needlers territory, or the Marsh territory into a deal.
Mhm.
And Needlers purchased ours, and I know for a fact because it was so profitable. Spartan Nash just bought it. They're not gonna buy something and close it.
No.
They bought it because it's profitable. So that's question one. Spartan Nash owns like Martin Foods.
Right,
That's one of their subsidiaries.
I
So
looked them up, yeah.
I would be, now, whether they improve the store, I don't know. We got them after twisting Needler's arm to finally fix the outside.
Right, but that's
Uh,
lipstick on a pig.
it's a start. You gotta start somewhere. Whether we can do anything on the inside is totally up to the Board of Works and the Health Department. The Board of Works may say there's not much we can do. We get it. It looks bad, but there's no code violations.
There's no code violations?
I don't know.
because-
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just saying that they could say that.
Okay. Because I would think without freezers, adequate freezers, the meat was gone 1 week. I don't buy their meat there anyway, but someone was upset because the meat was gone from that back wall, that south wall. They were emptied.
Yeah.
It's just an ongoing thing, and it's a little sad with a supermarket or grocery store who is the only one in the city area, unless you go to Elwood or Noblesville and pick them up, which you can. But it's supposed to be a hometown grocery store, and it's like,
I think it's
it's
a
the
good,
worst one. It's the absolute worst one I've ever seen. I've been to a bunch of them. I made myself go to a bunch of them within the Indianapolis area. And this one is the worst one.
I think it's a good thing the new company bought it. Maybe they'll start doing a lot more to it.
Good, good, because we all thought Negroes was going to
Yeah.
do something great.
I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse from a couple of months ago. Well, we've been talking about this for years. If we want change for that, it's got to be driven mostly by the private market. The best thing that would happen would be another grocery store coming.
Right.
But frankly, we don't have the population to support a second grocery
Right.
store, so we get what we get until people want to move here. And when people move here, the right people move here, hopefully you don't have $10 generals, but have a competitive market that would then incentivize a SpartanNash to say, yeah, we're losing customers because there's no meat, or this place looks like a dump. But it's always going to come back to the same discussion of we need people to live here.
Well, and I don't expect them to put a Walmart-sized shopping center in there for us, the city of our size. Probably a grocery store of 2/3, half of what it is now out there, that size, would be adequate for this town. But we've already had one market close. And I feel bad about that, because my husband loved their fried chicken.
That's another example, though, that, you know.
I like their
he has-
bologna sandwiches.
He has to
Oh,
turn a
yeah.
profit, so
Yeah.
you have to have the traffic
Yeah.
to support the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sad, and quite honestly, the only people we can blame are people that live here.
Yeah,
I mean-
exactly. Okay. Well, I just want to remind all the people who said they weren't gonna come back downtown anymore, because they're upset with everything. Get your fannies downtown.
Thanks, Roberta.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Who's second?
Thank you, Tammy, for explaining that.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.